now.
Okay, we'll declare the meeting open. Call the meeting to order and do the land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge the Dysart et al. Is located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory and the territory traditional territory of Mississauga and the Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaty First Nations, which include Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Boswell, and Georgina Island First Nations. The ancestral homelands are more than a place where the Anishinaabe hunted, fished, and gathered and grew their food long before the settlers' arrival. Indigenous people cared for these land and waters and have welcomed us as their guests. We pay them respect by ensuring we continue to recognize their ongoing connection to the area and by supporting the health and integrity of the lands and community for generations to come. We have a resolution to adopt the agenda.
Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Dysart et al. Held on April 11th be approved as presented.
Mover and seconder, Walt and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Being none, we have a resolution then to adopt the minutes.
Be it resolved that council approves the following meeting minutes as circulated, regular meeting March 28th and public meeting March 28th.
Mover and seconder. Carm and Pat, all in favor? Carried. Okay, any news from the county, Walt?
No. Meeting tomorrow. Things on the agenda there. Of course, we can back on the end of the month.
Okay. Okay, then. So Dr. Natalie Walking
Yep, she's here.
is here.
Good morning. I think we have technological success. Can you see me and hear me?
Yes.
Good morning. Thank you very much, members of council, for allowing me to do the presentation this morning. My name is Natalie Balking. I'm the Medical Officer of Health with the Haliburton Kawartha Pine Ridge District Health Unit. And we wanted to just take 2 minutes of your time this morning to extend our sincere appreciation for the municipality's support throughout the COVID-19 vaccination efforts. The AJ LaRue Arena was a key venue that enabled residents of Haliburton County to access COVID-19 vaccine closer to home and on a more timely basis. We're keeping our fingers crossed that hopefully this pandemic is a once in a century event. The previous pandemic of this size was about 100 years ago, but it took a community effort to respond. And so I believe that Mayor Fury, you have a plaque that we sent up last week and would like to say if you would please accept this plaque of appreciation to commemorate the support that the municipality provided and the key role of the vaccination effort in responding to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Balking. Yes, we most of us weren't here, but we know we'll always do the right thing for healthcare, hopefully. And again, we thank you.
Thank you. I know it might not be as much front and center as all of the hockey trophies in the arena, but any small space will help to promote and confirm our appreciation. So all the best and thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye. Resolution there.
Be it resolved that Dysart Council accepts the plaque of appreciation from Dr. Natalie Balking, Medical Officer of Health for the Haliburton Kawartha Pine Ridge District Health Unit, for the use of the AJ LaRue Arena as a mass immunization site.
Mover and seconder, Barry and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Fire report, it's there in front of you. Dan's not going to be in attendance. I guess he's away. It's on holidays or something.
No, he's got a conflicting meeting right now.
Okay. So any questions on the fire report? Okay, resolution.
Be it resolved, the council acknowledges receipt of the fire department report for March 2023.
Okay, mover and seconder, Nancy and Walt, all in favor? Carried. Public Works, here comes Rob. In person.
Morning, Mayor, members of council. Had some technical difficulties with my laptop today, so I get to grace you with my presence. The first report we have here is to declare a couple of vehicles as surplus. There is a mistake in the recommendation. I mistakenly put unit number 30059 in there. It should be 30055.
Same idea. though.
Same idea, yeah, just different truck. So generally 30055. What we do is we rotate pickup trucks between the operations manager and landfill manager. So this year, the operations manager is getting a new truck. His old one is going to landfill for 5 or 6 years and then it gets cycled back out. So that's why that one is going. 31114 is a 1 ton with a sander and a plow. It was actually scheduled for last year, but given what happened with the Koshlong Bridge, we held on to it in case we needed the truck to go in there just to maintain that back end of Koshlong Lake Road. So we should be done with the winter weather now and it's safe to get rid of.
Okay, any questions on that? Okay, resolution then.
Be it resolved, the council directs that vehicles 30055 and 3114 be declared surplus and placed in the online auction at www.govdeals.ca with final proceeds of sale to be directed into the general vehicle and equipment reserve fund.
Just a question that locals don't get a crack at that at all, any? Okay, they do. Okay, good. Okay, mover and seconder then. Tammy and Nancy, all in favor? Carried. Okay, equipment rental rates.
Yeah, so this has been quite a project that we've taken on in-house. The rental rates for our own equipment haven't been reviewed on this scale since I've been here, so it's long overdue. What we do is through the operating budget is we rent our equipment back to ourselves, and anything that's surplus goes into the reserve. And then when we buy new equipment, the reserve funds that. So you can see in the first summary, the old rate, the center column is what we're proposing. And on the right-hand side is the MTO rate, which was just updated last year. And those numbers is what the ministry pays out for time and material projects on the highway jobs. And none of these rates include labor. So it is equipment only.
And some of them are substantial increases.
Yes, yes. The biggest one that jumps out at me is the sweeper, going from $47 an hour to $145. Basically on that, it works about 7 weeks a year. It's out right now. It started yesterday. It'll run for 7 weeks straight, 6 or 7 weeks, and then it runs once a week just to kind of keep town clean the rest of the year. So it gets very low hours, but it's very expensive to replace.
Any discussion on that? Is there any reason we wouldn't go to MTO rates and then just keep MTO rates? And
That is an option. It would see a bit of an increase on some other ones. The biggest one there would be your tandem trucks, your heavy duties would be going up about $30 an hour. With the ministry rates, they're reviewed, I think, about every 5 years.
Right.
So, I mean, we could either tie it to CPI or we could tie it to the M2O rate.
right. Just think it'd save you going through this.
I mean, that's an option too.
You're talking about in CPI going forward.
Yeah, or we can hold the MTO. The only problem with the MTO rate is that builds the profit margin in for the private contractors. So for us, if you hold it,
And it would really impact our budget some too.
it could, and then you're stuck with that rate for 5 years or whenever they update it.
But it wouldn't be a bad thing. You'd have more money to buy equipment with. If you're overcharging a little,
I'm good with that.
you know. I wondered about that. And I surprised.
I just wondered, how does Barbara see the impact on this on budgeting year over year?
I think you.
Yes, good morning. So Definitely, it will be a positive impact to the reserve fund. And there will be an increase based on the actual usage of the vehicle equipment to the annual operating budget. But again, that would be a moving target based on the actual usage of the equipment rolling. So if the equipment is sitting dormant, then it's not generating revenue for the reserve.
Okay, any more discussion?
How often does MTO change their rates, Rob? Like the annual review or?
No, the last update was 2017, so it seems to be 5 years.
Just my own opinion, I think that MTO rate, if we stuck with it, because your plow truck's got spreader controls on it and plow controls on it. They're not like an average dump truck. So that's my own opinion. But I would support moving it to the MTO rate.
Yeah, so would I think. Is there any reason not to move it to the MTO rate? It's gonna put more money in the coffers for reserves to buy more equipment. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, but on the same note, I don't think it's a massive amount of money, Rob. Would it be? You know what I mean? Like if the biggest increase is gonna be on your dump trucks, like it's not gonna be $1 million a year on the same note.
Mhm. Also, the motor grader is going to go up about $40 as well. So
Can you? I don't want to make it more complicated, but can you run the numbers just to see what the difference would be on that note? Like if it's a massive increase, then maybe not, but if it's minimal, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I can bring that back to the next meeting.
sure.
I have a question. Is there anything to say you couldn't bring it up to the MTO rates and then go up by CPI each year?
No, say again, we're renting
Again,
to ourselves, so we can
depending
set,
on
we can set
usage
whatever we
and-
like.
Because if we did it like a year and then we had to increase it, that would give Barbara a better idea for the next year's budgeting.
Mhm.
Because the sidewalk plow and the sweeper, they do sit idle for prolonged periods of time.
Right. Yeah, that's the problem with specialized equipment is when you need it, you need it. So.
And the other problem is being it's so much more expensive to buy equipment now. If we don't get enough set aside. Yeah. Sam?
Is it possible to rent our sweeper out to bring in more income?
We can have that discussion. My concern with that is we would want to send an operator with it.
Yeah.
Because if something did happen to it, but we don't have a lot of people that are just sitting around looking for something to do. So, I mean, we can talk to the neighboring municipalities and see, you know, if it takes a week here, a week there. This time of year, we're fortunate enough this year that we're sweeping this early. We don't always get to sweep this early, which means we'll be done sooner. So depending when perhaps Minden Hills gets their contract sweepers in, I mean, we might be able to go give them a hand. Whether we help the county out throughout 21, I'm not sure. I know they have their own sweeping contracts. I don't want to step on any toes either. So.
But Rob, is it worth wearing out our machine for this little bit of money or just keep it? Because I worked on the old one, how run down it was. We got a really nice machine now.
Mhm.
So why don't we keep it really nice for the money we're gonna make off it, right?
Yeah, and the one we have now it's going on 7 years, 8 years now, 7 years. And just so you know, we replaced the elevator in it this spring and we got it for $10,000 and we snuck in under the price increase. So it's probably going closer to 15 to 18 now. So it doesn't get a lot of hours, but when you need to replace something on it, it's pricey. So.
Where are we now?
Just changing is just to bring the first.
Yeah. I would too, just do it. I think we're just gonna go with MTO rates. Say putting you through another.
Are we looking for MTO rate plus CPI or just MTO rate?
Well, I think you come back to us next year and say, I'd like to add the
Okay.
CPI because the costs are going up again, so.
No, fair
I
enough.
think we can play with that. Yeah.
Well, no, yeah.
can he still give us, like, we don't know how many hours are on the sweeper compared to, like, does that matter? How many hours? Like, how much money are we talking when we add up all these hours?
The sweeper runs for about 6 weeks straight, so you're talking 240 hours.
So,
So.
Yeah.
21.
Yeah.
On one thing. So this is gonna increase quite a bit. If we.
it is, but when we go to fix something, we need the money, so.
Mhm. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and so what we did, so the 2023 proposed rates in here, they were built in to the 2023 budget. So they were starting effective January. So if these go retroactive to April 1st, we still have a bit of a buffer in there.
There.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution?
Be it resolved that council received this report concerning the updated equipment rental rates for the Public Works Department, and that council directs staff to return with a bylaw to establish updated equipment rental rates at the next meeting of council, and that new rental rates be retroactive to April 1st, 2023, and be equivalent to the MTO rates.
Okay, mover and seconder. Nancy and Pat, all in favor? Carry. Okay. I guess John and you both now. Waste management summary. Morning, John.
Good morning. Report is our monthly summary for the month of February, summarizing some of the activity in terms of the waste that we are managing. I just wanted to give some background information in regards to construction and demolition waste and our operations at our site for those materials. Since the implementation of our waste management bylaw 2021-29, which started on May 1st, 2021, the disposal of clean or contaminated fill, whether it be soil, sand, or dirt, has not been permitted at any of our landfill sites. We do not cover the construction and demolition waste piles at Halliburton, Harcourt, and West Guildford landfills with any type of fill. And then construction and demolition waste is transferred off-site for processing or disposal. Residual fill is not deliberately loaded into vehicles transporting construction and demolition waste. When questioned, our hauler Mid-Ontario Disposal does not report sand or gravel being included in the construction and demolition waste they are hauling and processing. For safety reasons, Dysart usually loads and hauls construction and demolition waste on days when landfills are closed to the public. In 2022, Dysart managed 38% more metric tons of construction and demolition waste compared to 2021. This activity is reflective of the home construction renovation economic boom occurring within the municipality. In 2022, Dysart experienced a 112% increase in construction and demolition waste hauling and processing expenses compared to 2021. It must be noted that these increased expenses are for hauling, the truck taking away the material, and processing, the disposal of the material. Internalized loading costs are not included in hauling and processing expenses. Dysart's 2023 operating budget is based on an increase to construction and demolition waste disposal fees. Flatlining disposal fees at the gate will result in ratepayers effectively subsidizing construction and demolition waste disposal, which is primarily generated by the commercial sector. So that's it for construction demolition waste. In terms of vehicle counts at our sites, we experienced a 5% decrease in vehicle traffic in February 2023 compared to February 2022. We managed 53% more metric tons of blue box garbage and construction demolition waste in 2023 February compared to February 2022. But that is primarily because in February 2022, we did not haul any construction and demolition waste. Dysart received 20% more revenue in February 2023 compared to February 2022. However, our hauling and processing costs were 52% higher in February 2023 compared to February 2022, which is primarily attributable to the construction, demolition waste, hauling and processing costs, as those activities did not occur in February 2022. And there's an attachment that summarizes all that information in regards to the monthly summary. Any questions?
Yeah. Nancy?
John, at one point we had like some sort of big grinding machine out there for the construction and demolition. Is there any thought that that would make more efficient use of the stuff that's being taken away if it's already broken down somewhat?
The grinding of the material hasn't happened here in Dysart for some time. If we were to grind it, it's still the same amount of material and the same amount of
Tonnage.
tonnage. It just changes the volume of it.
John, those grindings that we used to do there, we can't use that for cover or anything like that anymore. Okay,
No, because we're no longer landfilling on site, we don't require cover.
all right. Is there a way you could put in the spreadsheet, I'm assuming this is Excel, can you put number of loads for the month? And the
Yeah.
tonnage and cost to that? Is that a problem to do? How many loads
Right.
go out?
Yeah, I can add that. Yeah.
That'd be great. And even retroactive would be dandy. Rob, this is kind of a question for you both. Is it, would it be more cost effective if Dysart got its own roll-off truck to do transfers and bin moving on site with the different landfills? Is that something we can think about or?
Yeah, I know Minden went through this exercise a few years ago, so I can touch base with them and just kind of see what their rationale was and see how it's working out for them. I know a couple of years ago, we did have a chat with them. If we got into a pinch, if we could call them up to come move some bins for us. But we've never really needed them, quite honestly. We just wait for Mid-Ontario to come, but we can touch base with Minden.
Sure. The other thing I want to make mention, total hearsay maybe, but on the same note, how much time is spent? I'm hearing that some of the operators are limited to a 1 hour minimum of equipment use at the dumps in terms of packing the bins. And I do know one thing, that if we can put more in the bins, it'll drive the tonnage up by a couple of tons, but it'll save trips on that note, especially if it's recyclable material such as plastic. If you can pack that stuff in there, of course, if it's laying in there fluffy, I'll say, you got a 20-yard bin or a 40-yard bin going that really only weighs 3 tons when it could be weighing 10 and less loads or something like that. Is there a problem with putting more time to the local operator, the operator of the dump to run that tractor backhoe or whatever?
So at 2 of our 5 sites, we have backhoes that are used by the landfill attendants to push down the materials in those bins. Because those landfill attendants their primary focus is working with the public. We have a rough number of an hour per day of using the backhoe because we're trying to keep the public safe when we're compacting those bins. The 2 sites that do have the backhoes in place have been able to stay within that kind of hour threshold of use, so they can more effectively work with the public and not spend the day within the backhoe.
All right, well, if they're competent enough to run the landfill, it's my own opinion, if they're competent enough to run the landfill, they could judge maybe just jumping in the backhoe and packing it down a little bit and whatever. That's my own opinion, but on the same note, I'd like to see more compaction at the sites if we can get that. And coming up, if we're timing out any tractor backhoes coming up, it might be worth spreading that another backhoe out to other sites or what have you on that note, but anyway.
Oh, is this we were still talking about the increase of on the C&D to $100. Is that discussion still viable, or what? We didn't pass it last time, I don't believe.
Correct. So in the consolidated fee bylaw, the construction demolition waste increase was not passed. And so that rate has effectively been flatlined. And that's where the statement that the ratepayer is now subsidizing more of the construction demolition waste hauling and processing costs originates from. If council wants to implement that fee increase, I believe the bylaw would have to be consolidated fee bylaw would need to be amended probably at the next council meeting for implementation, maybe on May 1st of 2023.
Okay, so do we want to leave it the way it is, or do we want to look at it again, or what do you want to do? Don't all speak at once.
It was going from 60 to 100, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. It's my understanding that Minden Hills is looking at this currently as well, and I believe they proposed $115 fee in their bylaw. It has not been passed. That was the latest one I've seen.
Okay. That's a quite,
We were going to 100, Rob, is that right?
and what were they before, do you know?
I don't know offhand. They were comparable, I believe, but John's got his laptop.
Yeah, I can just look that number up in 1 second.
Just wondering what's been the overall opinion from or comments from contractors and everything?
John has had a few comments. I have not had any myself.
A few, they think 100 is just highway robbery, we just can't believe it. Same with me, that there's been some high concern at $100 for sure. But at the same time, I'm trying to explain to them too, that the dumps are so far offside that we gotta do something. But yeah, there is some concerns in the $100, so maybe we can back off on that a little bit, but still do some sort of increase.
But their biggest concern with anyone I spoke to is why can they get Bracebridge or Huntsville to come over cheaper than they can take it to our dumps? And I don't have the answer for that, but that is a question that everybody's asking is how come we can call bin there, dump that, bring us a bin over cheaper than we can just the tipping fees at our dumps. So that's the thing, if they're so cheap, then maybe we need to phone them to just take it from our dumps. Like, where are they getting rid of it to?
Well, you have your bin trucks, take our stuff over there, whatever, it's something we look at. Rob, totally different channel here, but have we ran any costs on the excavator? Could you do that coming up? The excavator, like, I know it, whatever, if you could do that.
Absolutely.
Yep. I've got 4 people that are on the same page. It's a steep climb from 60 to 100 on that note, and they're struggling with the reasons why on that. And so, and again, please don't think it's a witch hunt for me. It's just, we got to get to the bottom of it. If it's several moving parts to the dumps, let's start working away at seeing how we can get it in order, but I do think we have to have an increase. I think 100 is too much. Maybe 80 might be a good way to settle it out, but anyway.
Would there be any possibility of specifically setting a fee for like heavy stuff like shingles and concrete and stuff from construction waste as opposed to just, you know, I've torn out a window, I want to throw it away, or cleaning out a house kind of deal, like with coffee tables and furniture and stuff that all goes there. They should be looking at what's dumped into the C&D to guess a weight. Because right now it's kind of guesswork. It's like, that looks like this.
And that's where the conversation about scales comes back around. I mean, we've come full circle on it again, right?
Yeah.
So
Is there any headway being made on like a master plan for the dump? I know you guys were going to start looking at.
yes, we've met with the consultant and the ball's kind of in their court. We're waiting for input on them or from them.
I mean, I have the Minden Hills proposed landfill fees. So currently our minimum charge is $5. They are looking at a minimum charge of $10. For their construction and demolition waste, their sorted fee will be $100 per cubic yard, and their unsorted fee will be $115 per cubic yard. They also are introducing possibly a $130 fee for construction material unsorted in a pickup or trailer, bins, compactor truck, dump truck, etc., which used to be $80. The simple reality is it is expensive to haul and process or dispose of construction and demolition waste. And so the revenue that was included in the 2023 budget was to offset the increased costs that we are experiencing.
So going back to the scales.
State it stays dry on the outside, though, it should be even.
But Murray, that's one thing that contractors are complaining about when they take a load in X amount, it costs the same no matter what's in it. So they would the end user would be getting the savings or whoever's bringing it in. And that's what they're saying. It's not fair when they bring in a load and they just guess at what it is. And now they're going to charge us. And we know we don't have that, but now they're going to charge us X amount more. So I think that's where their frustration is.
Yeah, and I understand it. I mean, everything's expensive. Waste management is expensive, but the $100 per cubic yard, don't be surprised if we get the scales in, you're gonna be looking at $200 a ton or more. So, I mean, they're all big numbers, but I mean, they're all relative, right?
I would propose that we start midway and increase the rate to 80. And then as we get further along the kind of rejuvenation of the landfill and see what direction that's going, then we could revisit those rates. I think it would be helpful to have some of that C&D waste kind of like a big drive-through thing with a cover just to help keep it dry. I mean,
We need to slab first and then we need to cover.
yeah,
And then we get the scale and the slab.
I think we should look at to make sure that we get this, find out how they can take it for 185 or something to Bracebridge. I don't know how that happens, but it would, like we said, that's something that we should know. How are they doing that?
Where are they taking it?
Yeah.
Now, for them to bring the bin over here and then take it back,
Yes.
There's two trips there.
you can't even take it to the landfill for that.
Yeah, they're making money.
No, went off automatically. John, do you have a comment on that? Any of this yet?
So I think the microphone was off, so I didn't hear what the question was.
Well,
So
we're trying to settle, it looks like we're settling on $80 as a mid-range.
yep, I mean, it's council's prerogative. I mean, the budget's going to be overspent. We will not have the revenue coming in that we anticipated in the 2023 budget, but
Well, not only that, we're into 5 months of the year here. But, yeah,
Like I think that what Carm's saying and in regard to somebody from Bracebridge coming over here and dropping a bin off, picking it up. I think we should just maybe check into this a little bit further and find out, like, how are they doing this, these numbers? I mean, is it,
Like, well, if I see them go by my place daily, almost, them green trucks coming and going, so they're here all the time. It's not like they're just here sporadically, they're here all the time.
I really think we should, we got another meeting coming up here in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think we should somehow, have some discussions here with how we're gonna go about this and because we are trying to save some money and not cost the taxpayers any money, so.
Rob has a point.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and check my notes, but I believe that staff have been directed to issue the RFP for the C&D disposal for effective 2024. So that's something we want to put out either early fall, kind of late summer. But yeah, that's, I mean, we have to do this thing through proposals or tenders, so.
Right. Rob, when's the C&D haulage and tonnage and everything? When's that contract end and start?
The end of this year, December 31st.
Okay. I think we have our ducks in order by then. We should
we should be able to make
be
a
really
decision.
looking into it.
And John, we need to bring that fee bylaw back, and can we bring that back in 2 weeks then? Oh, she's going to do the resolution now? Okay.
Be it resolved that council received the February 2023 waste management summary for information, and further that the C&D tipping fees be amended to $80 per cubic yard for 2023, reduced from 100. And further that the fees and charges bylaw 2023-39 be amended to reflect same effective May 1st, 2023. So you've already had the bylaw that was in effect April 1st in place now, so from what I understand, that 100 would be in place for a month, and then we buy back to the 80 for May 1st.
Okay.
Oh, it was never increased for April. Okay, never mind. All right.
You okay?
Yes.
Mover and seconder? Walt and Carm, all in favor? Carry. Okay, now our favorite subject, blue box.
Yeah, so this is a continuation of our March report about the blue box regulation. As council's aware, in 2021, Ontario Regulation 391-21 was passed, blue box, and that regulation aims to expand the residential blue box to more programs, standardize acceptable blue box materials across the province, and most importantly, make producers of paper products, packaging, and packaging-like products 100% financially and operationally responsible for the residential blue box program. There are two phases to that regulation. The transition period, which starts January 1st of this year until December 31st, 2025, and then post transition, which starts January 1st, 2026. Dysart itself transitions to the new regulation on January 1st, 2024. And all of the Haliburton County municipalities transition within 2024. Circular Materials is a nonprofit producer responsibility organization that represents the vast majority of the producers of paper products, packaging, and packaging-like products. Because of their market reach, they get to create the rules of the new residential blue box common collection system in compliance with the regulation. Previously, they've issued master services agreement and statements of work for depot collection and promotion and education for depot only collection and compensation exhibits for unit price and an explanatory note. This report basically summarizes some of our negotiations to date with Circular Materials. They initially issued most of those master services agreement and statements of work in May of last year. Subsequently, Dysart, in partnership with the other Haliburton County municipalities, have issued letters to Circular Materials on June 8th, 2022 and October 18th, 2022, summarizing some of our concerns about those agreements and statements of work. Circular Materials has responded to us, and subsequently this year, Dysart issued a letter to Circular Materials outlining some of our questions and concerns. Circular Materials has responded to those. And again, just this past week, we issued another letter to Circular Materials outlining some further questions and concerns. We actually have a meeting tomorrow, April 12th, with a non-Haliburton municipality about their contract negotiation experiences with Circular Materials, and all of the Haliburton County municipalities will be participating in that. Then on April 19th of this year, we have a meeting with Circular Materials, the 4 lower tier municipalities in Haliburton County, to discuss the contracts and agreements. There has been some movement where potentially, because of our depot operations, that maybe there's a different sort of agreement that Circular Materials may be presenting to us, as Circular Materials definitely is of the position that they would like our residents to have the option of dropping off their blue box materials at our existing sites, as opposed to inconveniencing residents by making them drive somewhere else to drop off their blue box materials. So it definitely is a file that's constantly moving. This report is basically to summarize all of the negotiations to date, that we are very much on top of this file, and that the idea is that in May we'll be coming back to council with a further report kind of summarizing the agreements and the opt-in, opt-out option for council to consider. However, considering we're hearing that there's maybe a new agreement for us to consider, that May report may end up moving until June, just as we get more information on this revised agreement that we may potentially get to look at. That's it for this report. Any other questions about it?
John, at the end there, you said if council can opt in or opt out, can you explain that a bit more? Because I'd like to opt out.
Yeah, so
no
there's-
disrespect to the environment. Like I said earlier on in past meetings, this whole system is great for a collection system that's set up for the city. But in a rural environment like ours, by the time people get done burning gas and we have 20 different bins to sort out different things at the landfill, is it is it gonna be better for the ratepayer or just drive them nuts trying to sort it and a problem for us, is my own opinion.
There's opt-in means that you will become, or Dysart would become a service provider to Circular Materials, and residents would be able to drop off their blue box materials at our sites. If we opt out, most likely a resident would come to our sites, drop off their garbage, and then they would have to drive somewhere else to drop off their blue box material. So if we want residents to have a convenient one-stop shop for dropping off their garbage and recycling, we would want to opt in. If we want to be done with blue box and have residents go to other locations, we would opt out. Again, there is a financial offer that will be made from Circular Materials. And so we're just waiting to see if this new agreement will maybe address some of our concerns and maybe address some of the variations between a curbside collection system and a depot drop-off system.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood that. So what, to my mind, what we, for me anyways, we'd opt in. I don't want to see ratepayers driving all over the county looking for a spot to put their blue box. I just don't want it to be complex where there's 20 different, there's more square area of different blue box bins than there is for C and D, for an example. Like, I'm trying to make it easy is what I'm trying to do.
Yep, so Circular Materials has stated that during the transition period, the blue box system would remain unchanged. So we would still separate papers from containers at our site. So residents would not experience any difference. Post-transition in 2026, who knows what the producers would want in terms of how the materials are prepared or sorted, but it's their program and we would be the service provider to them. So I anticipate in 2026, they are not going to change. We would still remain two-stream, separating papers from containers post-transition, because that is the most effective system for capturing a really high quality and blue box material. So I anticipate that would remain in place post-2026. That's an assumption on my part, but I think that's where Circular Materials is headed.
Okay, any further questions on that? It sounds like there's more information coming there, John.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Resolution is?
Be it resolved that council receives this report for informational purposes about Ontario Regulation 39121 Blue Box and impending negotiations with Circular Materials.
Mover and seconder, Nancy and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Okay. We'll bring Carl in. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Rob. If it doesn't work.
Good morning, council.
Good morning, Carl.
We've got the building permit report for March. Nothing too unique about it. Building permit revenue is up slightly, so are average daily inspections, even though permit numbers are down slightly for March. Overall, we're consistent with the previous couple of years. Construction value is also up quite a bit from those years. Any questions on the report?
No, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, resolution then.
Be it resolved that council received the March 2023 building activity report as information.
Move in seconder. Walt and Barry, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Bylaw report update.
Good morning, council. Straightforward report. I just added business licensing at the bottom there. Just showing you where we are with any kind of licensing that we've had so far in the municipality. If there's any questions to the report, I'd be happy to answer.
A lot of zoning stuff there, isn't there? Okay.
Yes, there is.
Any discussion on that? Okay. Question, Nancy?
Rob, for the zoning infractions, there's still 4 that are like over a year mark. Are those like in the court system somewhere or having orders placed or? Just a rough idea of where they are. There's been a ton of them resolved quickly and we thank you for that. But there's still four that are outstanding.
Yeah, those ones have been waiting on legal counsel and they're not discussions with other departments and how to proceed on it. We are moving forward with another one with the bi-level dock and going forward with that. So hopefully, and having the newer officer come on soon, that'd be it'll help with alleviating that stress of those cases.
And have you been down to the Wigamog, Rob, to see what's happening there?
I was down there last week. I actually spoke to the foreman on site. They have now removed all of the cabins on the back side of the property and also on the west side of the property, east side of the property as well. So they're down. They are moving forward. There's crews there. I plan on this afternoon going back and taking another look and speaking with the foreman again on site and seeing what other kind of progress they've made.
Just had a quick statement there. Halliburton Heights next door was concerned about, I guess they have rooms that they rent out or what have you, and there's families that come and go out of it. Is there a chance we could talk to the guys doing demolition work, maybe put some fencing up? I know they put from what I heard, a piece of caution tape across it, but in terms of little kids ripping and tearing, that's their only concern of that aspect there. If you could check in with them, that would be great. They could put some fencing up.
Sure.
Again.
Absolutely. I can speak to the foreman on site today and see if that's a possibility. I'll get a hold of the Aurora group as well and see if that's a possibility for them to get that fence up there.
Good, Pat. Nancy?
And we just had a question earlier. Once you attain your demolition permit, is it good for a year? It's not an open-ended sort of permit, is it? Is there a time frame that they have to finish their work?
There's
I'll
no
let
time
Carl
frames.
explain.
Yeah, there's no time frames with permits, even though we do put wording on there that it is considered not effective after 6 months if you don't start. It's not. The only way a building permit becomes ineffective is if we withdraw the actual building permit, and we don't typically do that. So there's no timeline really on building permits.
Okay, that could be scary, but anyway. Okay, so we have a resolution then.
Be it resolved that council accepts the bylaw update report for March 2023 as information, and further that council directs staff to open the parking meters on April 17th with a 1-week grace period and post on social media.
Okay, mover and seconder. Pat and Nancy, all in favor? Okay. The deer feeding bylaw and the map.
Everybody's favorite bylaw. So I've attached a copy of the bylaw to the report this time. And I also with concerns from council that the map was too big. So I've recommended two options here for council consideration. The dark outline, black outline, square outline is the Ward 1 boundary, and the beige or yellow colored in area is the hamlet and settlement area. These are two good options, and just looking for council's direction on the map on which one they would like to go with, and if there's any additions they would like to make to the bylaw with general provisions or exemptions.
Any comments on that area? That's Ward 1, basically, right?
Right. Ward 1 and the extension of Ward and into Ward 2. I would
Yeah.
say.
I think that should cover the concerns, hopefully. Any other discussion?
Was it the Hamlet and settlement area? You
No. Whatever's on that map.
So both the Ward 1 boundaries and in the black outline.
Yeah, the black outline.
The beige, the yellowy color is the Hamlet and settlement area. That would be affected.
I'd say both, because the settlement area still runs along the main highway there. That's my,
That's what the resolution says. I just want to be clear. That it's-
yep.
When does this be effective?
Bylaw would come to a future meeting, to the next meeting.
Okay. All right. Okay, resolution.
You did talk about though implementing it and having an education period. Did we recommend a date, Robert? Do you recall in terms of?
No, I don't think we did recommend a date. I know we did recommend that we would do an education period. If I'm not mistaken, it would be a year, I believe. I heard somebody on council said it a few months ago.
I think that was in the
again,
fall, so they're hoping to have it in place for this spring, yeah, so. Do you want it to be cut off immediately? That's all I need. Do you want a grace period for education to get it there before it's effective?
My own opinion is I'd put a notice in the paper and
Make it
get it going, because spring's now, flowers are coming up. We're gonna start getting phone calls if we don't.
And there's no reason to feed them now, so.
No.
So it'll be effective when you pass it, I'm sure. You want me to read the resolution?
Yeah.
Sorry, Robert.
Rob?
Just to circle back on the map, was there an option that council wanted?
The Hamlet and settlement area.
Okay, so we're looking at the beige covered area then.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Resolution.
Be it resolved that council directs staff to include the Hamlet and settlement area of Halliburton in the deer feeding bylaw and further direct staff to present a final copy of the bylaw and map to council for approval at a future meeting.
Mover and seconder. Scott and Walt, all in favor? Carry. Medical center parking lot.
Of everybody's delay. So I've included several options in this report. I believe we have 6 options here for council's consideration. The one that staff is recommending is the replacement of the gate arm machines itself, just the gate arms. Right now, I'm finding in the last few months that it's not the gate arms or the machines that are malfunctioning. It's just the overwhelming of the instructions on the machine where users are having a hard time following them. With this recommendation on replacing the gate arms itself would include, for lack of a better term, revamping the on-screen instructions. I believe that just people are getting confused and they're not seeing the third payment button that needs to be pressed to engage that payment system. They see comes up on the screen where it's blue and it says, please pay a set amount without pressing the third button. That being said, a lot of the community, I believe, has had a chance to get through that system and use the system. So we're seeing a reduce in phone calls day to day with I don't know how to use this machine or the machine is broken. Granted, the machine does go down on occasion with the loss of the internet or power. Last week was a prime example of it. The machines did go down because of the storm that rolled through. So those are normal things that are going to happen with any kind of technology. I think that if we do replace those gate arms machines itself, they are getting old. We have replaced some of the mechanisms inside it, but however, them being close to 20 years old, it's going to be something that will need to be replaced eventually. So I think that is the main option that staff would consider council to move forward with. But it is up to council with which option they want to move forward with in the end.
Any discussion on that?
Yeah.
Pat?
Marie, I guess just a suggestion for everyone, is it a critical component of the family medical center for revenue? Like, all I'm thinking about is for the aggravation that it causes not only you or the general public, people are going there for medical assistance. And, you know, they're getting aggravated on the way in and they're getting aggravated on the way out. And I'm wondering if the whole system's worth its weight, or whether we can get the revenue, if it's necessary, from another segment of taxation or what have you, just to get rid of the whole thing. And you're in and out of the parking lot, and it's one last thing in your day that you have to look after. Because I've done it before. I got all the way out of the truck in different aspects, had to go back in, and not only at our parking lot here, but also in Barrie. If you don't prepay it on the way out, you gotta go back in and everything else. But I'm just thinking of our elderly people too. If there's a lot of moving parts to it, it's easy to stumble, especially if you got 2 or 3 cars behind you and the pressure's on. And anyway, it's happened to me too, but anyway.
Go ahead.
So, to Councillor Casey's point there, there's also the option there of turning it into just a pay and display machine as well, where it operates on the street meters do. So you come into the parking lot, you go to the machine, you grab your ticket, and you place it on your dashboard, and you're done paying. You can go into your appointment, do your appointment, get back in your car, and leave. There's that option as well, which is a pretty simple option to do as well. And we would enforce it similar, very actually the same as on-street meters.
So could you have it, okay, I'm sorry, Tam. Could you have it was set at $2 to start with, and that was for a reason, that you could put a toonie in, go in and come out. That's pretty simple. See, a lot of seniors wouldn't want to use their debit card, maybe wouldn't even have one, some of them. Is that something like the main idea was, and that back then it produced enough money to pay for the snow removal and the maintenance of the yard. But, you know, that's, as Pat said, that's not a huge issue. We can do without it. But that to me is simple. You put something in on the way in and you come out, you don't have anything to do. You don't get in unless you got a toonie or two loonies. That's pretty simple. But you still got the gate, right? Yeah, okay, Rob?
So if council did decide to use the option of doing the pay and display option, whether it be with the existing system and like changing it to act as a pay and display, which is a possible option, or using an existing meter that we have downtown, if on another discussion, the removal of the downtown meters. The only problem is using the existing machines that are down at the medical center, they would still be using their credit or debit card. There's no option for coin in that system when that system was put in prior to me starting. So you would have to opt either for the option of we retrofit that medical gate, one of the machines, to have them put a coin option in there for what you were saying, Mayor Fury, or they just use the existing system as it is now with the debit and credit as a pay and display.
Tammy, you had a question?
I know I was just in there the other day and it does need to change because the one person in front of me was complaining that he had to have paid $3 and he gets charged his debit card because it's under $10. So it does need to change, and I am in favor of option 6. It's already stressed out enough for people going in there, and then they have to stress out about finding a debit card or a credit card or if it was a toonie or a loonie, and they're already stressed out to be there in the first place. So I opt for option 6.
We also, how much money does it bring in a year? I'm sure we've seen this before, but you can just remind me of that. What does it bring in a yearly?
I think Barbara would be best to answer that one.
Yes, so pre-COVID, we were bringing in roughly $50,000 in revenue for parking at the medical center. We're now starting to gain some traction. Our current 2023 budget includes $27,000 for parking revenue, and we're seeing an uptick in that number now that business is getting back to normal.
But again, it's not just people going to the doctor's office. There's multiple private businesses in there that use that parking lot.
I don't really like to lose money anywhere on anything right now, but I'm kind of leaning towards not having it there. It's an aggravation.
So
And
was it 50,000 last year, did you say, or it has been 50,000?
Yes, pre-COVID, the revenue was 50,000. Obviously, with COVID, there were a lot of changes, and now that businesses are getting back to a sense of normalcy, we're looking at an uptick on the revenue there, working hopefully towards that $50,000. But right now, our current year budget is $27,000, and that's roughly what we had collected in 2022.
So that's what we have to find somewhere else, and that's simple. So what's the
Need a
consensus?
place for this year and next year. Yeah, it's pretty breaking.
I might as well take it out of there right now. Yeah. Well, if we're gonna take it out, we might as well take it out. And,
at $27,000, but how much time and money have we spent fixing this thing and your time, Rob, and yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, that was the other thought, is that, did you see, because it says here that you did, we can put it on for sale. Do you know how much that they normally go for? Like, was there any other system like ours already for sale on the used equipment?
So we looked at, I did look at that website with our procurement coordinator, and we didn't find anything to do with meters on it. So I can't give you a ballpark number of, or an estimate number of, or a range of where it would be sold, but we could post them up on that under the electronics section and see if anybody would purchase them. But there are those websites where government agencies can sell off unused equipment or surplus equipment on.
That would just help with the budget money this year.
Okay, resolution then? What have you got for a resolution there now?
I've got a quick question first. Is there a bylaw? Which bylaw would need to be amended to remove this? Is it
I
just under
don't
feet?
I don't believe there's any bylaw that needs to be amended.
Was that just a resolution? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I think it's a resolution because there's nothing in the parking bylaw to do with the medical center, because there's no enforcement on that actual lot. Just the handicap is the like the accessible parking. Sorry, excuse my
Yeah, that's my
terminology
recollection
there.
too, but wanted to be sure. Okay, well.
Yeah, I was just curious, and then maybe you don't have the numbers right in front of you, but what it would cost us in a normal year with maintaining that and servicing it in regard to your time and other staff time. I'd just be curious to know what that amount would be. Because I'm definitely in favor of it.
That certainly varies, but what's been happening is because the gate breaks and then people have to phone the office, and if Robert's not available, and then it goes to other staff and takes their time looking for someone. In the meantime, the person's sitting there waiting, getting upset, and so.
What would roughly be our cost for maintenance for the snow plowing and sanding and stuff a year?
I do not have those numbers.
Okay.
it's in the parks budget or in the roads?
Operating.
Roads. And you haven't broken it out. Well, maybe that's a good thing. Okay. Okay, Tamara, we're ready.
Be it resolved that council received the medical center parking lot pay station report and further direct staff to proceed with removal of the parking equipment and associated fees.
Okay, mover and seconder, Pat and Tammy, all in favor? Carry. Okay. Thank you. Gentlemen,
Thank you.
okay. Finance, Barb?
Yes,
Check.
good morning. So we have here the March 2023 check summary. Total disbursements were $5,258,587, and it certainly is up over a typical month. In March, we had our first quarterly transfer payments to the county and the Board of Educations. And the total there was $3,564,559.
Okay. Can't do much about those payments. Okay, resolution then.
Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the March 2023 check summary.
Mover and seconder, Nancy and Walt, all in favor? Carry. Okay, quarterly metered sewage usage.
Yes, so we have here our usage for the first quarter of 2023. And usage is actually up over the 2022 app by 7.6%.
You say it's up, the usage is up?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't know why that is. Is there a reason for that?
Well, there's three key players here, three of the accounts that are billed out being Extendicare, the high school, and Echo Hills.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those are the three components that are contributing to the increased usage.
Okay. Okay, any discussion on that? Mover and seconder? Pat and Carm, all in favor? Carry. Do you think we can go into close now, or would they be ready? They're here? You want a break? Oh, okay. Okay, we'll take 15 minutes. Is he going to give me the finger or not? Okay, we're going to have a resolution to go into close then.
Be it resolved that council adjourn its regular meeting at 10:22 a.m. to discuss matters pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act pertaining to a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which if disclosed could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group, or of persons or organization. It's generally about public works, wastewater infrastructure.
Mover and seconder. Nancy and Walt, all in favor? Carry. Okay. Okay.
It's the confirming bylaw and adjournment.
Oh, we need it, yeah, the notice of motion, but we're not back on, there we are. Are we good?
Okay, we have
Okay.
a motion, oh, wait.
Notice of motion then?
Yeah, so I have a notice of motion. And it's due to the feedback from the people. That I would like to put the policy 38 back on the table for the next meeting. To bring that back and put it on the agenda.
Okay,
Need
need a mover and a seconder?
I'll
Tammy,
move it.
Walt? All in favor? Carried. Okay,
Then confirming.
confirming,
Be it resolved that bylaw number 2023-42 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting held on April 11th be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached here too.
mover and seconder? Pat and Barry, all in favor? Carried.
Be it resolved that council adjourn its regular meeting held on April 11th, 2023 at 11:29 a.m.
Mover and seconder, Nancy and Carm, all in favor? Carried. Well, I think we made some progress. Thanks, Pat.